I always assume that geothermal is one of these things that you kind of have to be in certain spots for, like Iceland or some volcanic area. But like,
Nope.
okay, so your understanding is that anywhere, if you drill
Anywhere.
down far enough,
Anywhere. Because once you get down below like the frost line of the earth, like when you get down deep enough, the temperature evens out. So like at a certain depth, like here in Massachusetts where I live, it's like it's 55 degrees. It's just always 55 degrees at a certain depth. It like really doesn't change.
Okay.
So you just have to drill deep enough so that you can recover that heat, to put it into the compressor to make it hotter, to heat up your home, or to be able to dump the heat from your house in the summertime and air condition it. So it's like you just have to drill deep enough to get to that temperature range.
Matt Farrell is the host of Undecided with Matt Farrell, and people who follow my channel are probably familiar with him. We cover a lot of the same topics, to the point that I was doing a video on a certain new battery technology, and I felt the need to put a joke in there that Matt probably beat me to it, because he always does. So I just put puppies in my video just to one-up him, and I think it worked. I think that was the clincher. Matt can't compete with puppies. In fact, I took a month off last year just to kind of have a little break, and Matt actually stepped in and guest hosted a video on my channel while I was away. So if you're familiar with my channel, you're probably familiar with Matt. And he did just recently cross the 1 million subscriber mark, which is a huge deal, and I couldn't be happier for him. So being old friends, thought it might be fun to have him on and just talk a little YouTube and other things. So yeah, if you're interested in the kind of stuff that Matt and I talk about, we talk about those things here. So here we go. I'll stop talking and just jump into my conversation with Matt Farrell. How hard do you have to work to not like have your entire mental health on any given day based on how well your videos do?
That's actually a really good topic. It's like, for me, it's like
it's hard.
It's really freaking hard. I don't think people understand, like, it can be emotionally just grueling and draining. It's like one day you're seeing numbers go up and you're like, I'm on the top of the world. And the next day the numbers are just in the toilet and you're like, I'm the worst thing ever. And you just feel horrible.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm in that space right now where it's kind of like, I'm trying my best to keep that mental health in a good place, but it's tough. It's really, really tough.
And it's one of those things where it's like when you step back and objectively look at it, you're like, that's insane, because I have no control over that. I have no control from day to day what the algorithm's going to do and who it's going to share my stuff with. But I think I've gotten now to where maybe if I have a bad day, it doesn't completely send me spiraling or anything. But I will admit, if I have a good day, I'm definitely in a better mood.
Yes. Yeah.
The sun is just a little bit shinier. The birds are chirping a little louder,
Have you found any tactics that help you kind of keep focus, like keep the eye on horizon and not get like distracted by the
like the mental thing?
The mental thing. Like, have you found tactics that work for you for that?
I don't Well, I'd have to think about that. I think it's just having, like, how long have you been doing it?
It's over 4 years.
4 years. So I'm coming up on 8 now.
Oh, wow.
And I think at a certain point you do just kind of like, okay. And I think also once you get to 1 million, like you got to 1 million a couple months ago.
Yeah, it was just a few months ago.
Just a few months ago. Congrats, by the way.
Thank you.
Welcome to the club. the gold play button club. I don't know. I think after a while I kind of got to where it was like, you know what? Even if a video doesn't do very well, I'm still making enough money on it to pay for itself, and I'm still okay, And because this year was rough for me.
Really?
Very rough. Yeah.
Okay.
Like, and it was weird because it was, I've done whole videos about this on my second channel. People are tired of hearing it, but, I mean, like at the end of 2021 and the beginning of 2022 in January, it's just like, it's like somebody flipped a switch. I was getting like a third the impressions I was getting before. Yeah. And that's pretty much carried out this whole year. Now, October, I think YouTube decided what they want to promote of mine, and it's the mystery content.
Okay.
Because I had like 3 mystery videos in a row, and they all just did gangbusters in the last month. So I'm actually back to some good numbers again. But I mean, in 2021, if I got 500 subscribers on a day, that was a bad day. Like that would piss me off all day long. And for most of this year, that was kind of a good day. So, and subscribers aren't the right metric to look at anyway, but I don't know. I think you just kind of get to the point when you've been doing it for a while and you've got a big enough audience and you know that like, even if it's not performing well, that you can still sustain yourself and whatnot, that you kind of just give up trying, and it's just like, you know what, I'm just going to talk about stuff that I think is interesting.
Yeah.
And just have fun with it as much as I can. And I think that's the best mental health thing that you can do. For me anyway, it was just to kind of let go of it all and just say, I'm just going to have fun. And I think that kind of shines through in the videos too. I think people respond to it a little bit more. Because I am just like, screw it. Just whatever,
well, people,
you know?
I've noticed that people can tell when you're talking on a video about whatever the topic is. If you don't come across as caring about it, they know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And those videos never do well.
Yeah.
Me. Like if it's clear that I wasn't completely tuned into it.
And you don't think you're doing anything any different.
Right. Yep.
But something.
People can sniff it out. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
What, do you have earphones in?
Yes.
Are they like looped around the back of your ear?
Yeah, they go around the back of the ear. They're kind of clear.
What are these things?
I found them on Amazon for $20.
Okay. I was looking at it for a while at like getting the kind that they actually mold your ear.
$20.
Well, the little silicone things, they never fit just right for me. So
yeah,
I was like, spend a little money on it, but I never did actually do that. Anyway, sorry. I was like,
these don't sound that great and they don't fit that great. They're good enough. They're
good
$20.
enough.
I'll live with it.
But they're also like, you
don't notice
I'm just now noticing them. You know, we're 8 minutes into this thing. Yeah. Whereas I got these Princess Leia cans on the side of my head.
Well, I got a question for you. Like, are there topics that, because like you talked about the mystery box kind of videos that you do, how they're kind of hitting. Are there topics that you used to talk about that you loved talking about that just are a third rail for you now that you just will not go near?
The first thing that comes to mind is Elon.
I was
just Elon in general.
If you didn't, I was going to say that my thing would be, I don't want to touch Elon anymore. It's like, it's a third rail. It's like, oh man, I just can't.
Have I edited it? I have not. I have a TMI video that I actually just recorded about this. Okay, so back when Elon was first talking about Twitter, which was April, by the way.
Yeah.
This has been going on that long. Yeah, I recorded a TMI video where I just kind of ranted for 25 minutes, and then I never released it. I chickened out. And I've kind of shared it personally with people if they wanted to see it, but I kind of recorded another one that wasn't quite so ranty recently. But he's such a polarizing guy, and people get so passionate on both sides, loving him or hating him, that it's like you're never reverential enough for the culty people, and you're never critical enough for the haters.
Yep.
So no matter what you say, it's pissing everybody off. And I know that there's like this whole Elon bait thing going on where like people just put his picture in any thumbnail, whatever, which is gross and stupid. And I wish YouTube would do something about it. But yeah, I got into where I just avoid him because there's things that he's been doing that I just can't defend. I used to defend everything that he did. I used to be one of those guys, and I'm not that guy anymore. He's just kind of stepped into areas I can't support, you know.
It's this is going to be incendiary, but I'll say it anyway.
No,
it's kind of like we've watched him evolve into the villain.
He survived long enough to become the villain.
I would have defended him like all the time. Like in 2018, 2019, it's like I was a diehard fan of everything he was doing, and I've just slowly watched him descend into madness. And it's like I can't defend some of the stuff he's talking about anymore. And just like you said, it's like there was one time I said something on Twitter about a conspiracy around Tesla, and I was like, "Come on, people!" It caused a firestorm on my Twitter. I was getting people, obviously people who have no clue who I am, just like railing on me as some kind of Elon hater, Tesla hater, all this, like that the Tesla army
okay, that side,
descended upon me. And it was like, whoa, it's like I drive a Tesla. It's like I don't think he's the walking devil himself, but it's like he has problems. We need to acknowledge this.
I mean, to me, it's not that hard to be like, he deserves credit for some things, absolutely. But he's also a flawed individual, and he's got some pretty deep flaws, and those flaws are really kind of, I don't know, they seem to be taking over as far as I'm concerned lately.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's always been this cadre of people that hated on him and levied pretty unfair things against him.
Yep.
Or they would hold Tesla to a standard they would never hold any other car company to, And I was always quick to defend him for that kind of thing. And I still do. I still try to be fair about it, because there's still those people out there that are just like hate no matter what. But I'm definitely not somebody that defends everything anymore. Yeah. And it's funny because I don't, it's kind of like a frog in boiling water. It kind of happens slowly over time. But somebody pointed out something from an early video where I was pretty Elon culty. And I was like, oh yeah, I guess my opinion has shifted quite a bit more than I realized.
Yeah. It's one of those, there are definitely topics like that I will no longer touch, just because it's, including almost EVs in general. It's like I don't really talk about EVs much anymore. I don't know if you've noticed this, but there seems to be kind of a change in sentiment on some of these topics. And I just don't want to, there seems to be a lot more negativity towards electric vehicles than there even was 4 years ago.
You think so?
Yeah.
Huh.
I don't know. It's like, I notice it on my channel a lot. Like I'll see comments from people, like when I talk about EVs, they come out of the woodwork more than they ever used to. I don't know if it's because of the size of my channel or if there's an actual perception change happening out there.
I do think that when your channel gets to a certain size, it becomes a target for bots and troll farms and that kind of thing. So it might be a lot
bots.
of that.
Don't get me started on the bots. YouTube is broken, by the way. Can I just say that YouTube is completely broken with the imposter bots and the spam comments?
Oh, the spam comments, the replies to other people pretending to be you.
Yeah, like just before I got on the call with you right now, I deleted 500 spam bot comments from my most recent video. 500. Contact me on WhatsApp. You win the prize.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, come on.
I've tried blocking anything that has WhatsApp in it. You can try blocking all those things, but what is the name? It's the YouTube spam killer. Theo Joe's. Yeah.
I use that. Yep.
I do too. I wish it was more user friendly. You got to go into terminal and
I feel like I'm the movie Hackers every time I open it up.
I know, right? I'm always thinking like I'm going to press wrong button and my whole computer is going to crash because I'm in the code or something. But I mean that helps, but no, you're right. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And when they drop the dislike button or the numbers and the dislike thing, it was explained to me why they did it, and it made some sense because there are some people in marginalized communities on YouTube that get like negativity bombed and stuff. I get that. So I kind of changed my mind on it a little bit, but when they first did that, I was like, this is not the problem you need to be dealing with. Yes. Deal with the spam bots, please. My God, it's so bad.
Well, I mean, there's an element of what Google does. There are dark patterns to their UI design that drive me nuts, that they will like hide things instead of fixing the underlying issues with it. So it's like they've been experimenting with hiding the likes. They were experimenting with hiding subscriber counts, view counts. There's one time that happened and they said, oh, that was a mistake. And I was like, I don't think that was a mistake. I think they probably did that deliberately to see what would happen. And it kind of blew back. It's to me, it's kind of user hostile because the dislike is important. It's like when I'm viewing a video, it's like seeing that ratio of likes to dislikes. It kind of sends a signal to me as a viewer what people think about that video. But when you hide that, it's like,
yeah, I've heard a lot of other people say that too. That like
drives me nuts.
Yeah, it reduces trust in the platform
Yes.
because you don't know what you can trust and what you can't on there.
Yeah.
And I think well, I don't know. Another little beef that I have, I just mentioned the sort of Elon baiting a second ago. I swear to God, I saw one where the thumbnail had him in front of the pyramids of Giza, I guess claiming that he built the pyramids.
Okay. Okay.
No, but like that's I could name these. There's a few I could name by name, but maybe I won't go there. But there are these YouTube channels that like I don't know exactly what kind of clickbait this is, but they're saying something that is obviously not true.
Correct.
And it
They're
makes you
lying.
want to click on it just to see how much they're lying to you out of hate, but that click works just the same as any other click. And
yeah, I know you don't want to name them. I would have no problem naming them, but there was one that had Elon saying something about how Tesla invented some kind of fusion powered car, and it was like, are you joking?
Yeah.
And it's like this doesn't help anybody, and it also doesn't help me as a YouTuber. It's like it just creates this like it casts a shadow on all of us that we're all just clickbait scamming.
Yeah, you're right.
People. It's like it doesn't help any of us.
And I've noticed legit channels starting to copy that because they fucking have to in order to compete.
So what do you think about clickbait? Because the definition of clickbait depends on the person that you're asking. Like there are thumbnails and titles I've put together that I don't think they're clickbait because it's actually addressed in the video. Yeah. And then people in the comments will say total clickbait. It's kind of like, wait, what?
Yeah, a lot of people confuse what clickbait actually is. But I have always said that if you deliver on the promise in the video, then it's not clickbait. Nobody's going to be mad if you actually deliver what you promised to deliver to them. But if you say that the video is about one thing and then you get in there and that's not what they're talking about at all, which like in the case of a fusion car, they would have to be talking about something else because that's literally not a thing. So that's clickbait. That's the definition. Another thing that clickbait, another kind of clickbait, I guess, is one that just kind of like leaves. And this is, I've engaged in this a little bit, but it creates a question in your mind. Like it leaves a big gap between like teasing and what the actual video is about that makes you be like, wait, what are they talking about here? And then you click on it. But again, if it's a good video, people don't really care. If it's just crap, then they'll be mad. But like the probably the clickbaitiest thing I've ever done, and it worked, was just a while back I did one on limnic eruptions, which is like lakes that get saturated with CO2 and then that CO2 explodes out of it like a Mentos and Diet Coke basically.
Right.
And it's deadly. It killed like 1,700 people. It was like this horrible thing that happened. But if I did a title that said all about limnic eruptions, nobody knows what that is, So I was making like actually the intro of it I dropped some Mentos into Diet Coke and I showed the whole thing explode and everything. So I was like, the thumbnail was a lake that had an explosion going off in it and a Coke can being held in the foreground. And the title said, and then 1,700 people died.
That's genius.
But it was total clickbait.
It's clickbait, but you addressed it in the video. You talked about.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Because 1,700 people did die, right?
Yeah. I was more afraid that Coke was going to sue me. I'm claiming that Coke killed a bunch of people. But luckily that didn't happen. But it worked really well. And you know what? It was also a really good video. Like, how some videos you just like more than others. That was one that I was like, okay, I really like this one. I think it works. And so I don't really mind clickbaiting them so much because I really want people to see it. So if I have to be a little gross, I will. But if it's just like a video that's just kind of like okay, I needed to talk about this thing, and I'm not, like you mentioned earlier, I'm not really all that into it, but I wanted to cover it.
Yeah, the clickbait thing is something I dance on that line on most of my videos, and sometimes I drift over it, and I'm okay with it because it works.
Yeah.
But it's also like we take the blame as like you're clickbaiting us, and it's like, yeah, but did you enjoy the video? Is kind of like my response of, if you like the video, then
Yeah.
what's the problem?
Yeah. I mean, people are going to complain about anything, and so some people get especially angry about that. But have you dipped into shorts at all?
No, and I wanted to talk to you about what you did, that 30-day experiment you did in your channel. I was like, watch that TMI video of yours, and I was like doing a slow clap saying, "Thank you, sir, for doing this experiment." So I didn't have to. Because I've been wanting to do shorts, but it's like I didn't know where to start, and I was like, "Oh, well, Joe just showed me what not to do. Thank you, Joe."
Yeah, yeah. Well, so I mean, the irony, and I need to follow up on that a little bit because, as I mentioned, I did that in September, and it was the worst month of my entire year by far.
Yeah,
horrible month, analytics wise. But October blew up.
Really?
So I'm
Do you think
still
it was
just like
cause and effect between those two things?
I don't know if it was a delayed reaction or what. Now I will say that the shorts didn't blow up. The shorts that I posted in September didn't like suddenly take off. Although I've heard of that happening.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently it happens all the time that a short might take 3 months and then suddenly it's just everywhere, you know. So I guess it could still happen, but I don't know. There's a few things. To be fair, it started getting colder, so I think people are going inside, maybe watching more YouTube. So it might just be a seasonal thing.
Mm-hmm.
I did have a few good like mystery videos in a row, and those are always doing well. So it might have been that, but it also might have been a delayed reaction from the shorts thing. I really don't know. It was enough to make me go, okay, I guess I'll keep posting some shorts, but I'm going to do it differently than I did in September. So I am doing like bespoke shorts now. Like I'm not just clipping out stuff from regular videos. So like when I record my videos now, I record the video for YouTube, for the Answers with Joe channel. I do a TMI that's like an extra thoughts on that, where maybe it's why I picked this topic. Maybe it's something that got cut out, or just riffing a little bit because it's kind of unscripted. And then I'll record like 3 or 4 short nuggets just of things from the video that I thought were interesting enough to include in a 1-minute thing.
Right.
And then we post those on TikTok and Reels and Shorts and everything. So it's a whole, like I wind up recording a lot when I finally sit down and record. It's a whole thing.
Well, it ties back to the mental health thing we talked about at the beginning. It's like, how are you managing that? Because like for me, it's like I feel like I'm barely treading water, and I want to do shorts, but I'm like, oh my god, just layering on that one more thing feels like that's going to be the thing that makes me like scream and cry uncle and quit.
So, what's your shooting schedule like? Do you just kind of like record whenever it's time to record, when you have the script ready, or do you have like a certain day that you sit down and like, okay, today's a recording day?
For me, it's Tuesdays are recording days.
Every Tuesday.
Every Tuesday, I try to get into a schedule where I'm doing it every other Tuesday, but I fell out of rhythm, and so I'm doing it every Tuesday right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So mine turns out to be Friday. It's kind of where I've landed. But the schedule, what am I trying to say? Anyway, there's a better word for it. I'm trying right now to shoot 3 videos every 2 weeks, so that I can like always try to get a little bit ahead, you know?
Right.
So like doing 2 videos a week is too hard. I tried that. It was too much. 1 video a week I can do, but then you're just like always on a deadline, and it's just like this hamster wheel, you know, you get no downtime. But I was like, hey, what if I do 3 videos every 2 weeks? And I was like working on 3 videos a day, like set aside an hour on this video, an hour on that video, an hour on that video, just kind of like just get a little bit done at a time. Mm-hmm. And then by the time that Friday comes around, or after 2 weeks, it's a whole day of recording pretty much. And like sometimes I don't get started till noon or 1, and then it's like it's going way too late. But that's a pretty good cadence for me.
Okay.
To get 3 every 2 weeks. It's manageable, especially when one of them is like that lightning round video, because it's a lot less scripted and it's a lot less researched. I can bang those out a little bit easier, which is kind of the whole point. But it's also a way for me to like, well, first of all, to, you know, reward the Patreon supporters, and that's like a Patreon perk. So I want to give them a little something there, but also I can test out topics, and if people like the 3 or 4 minutes I did on that topic, then okay, well I can do a whole video on that later, you know.
Right.
So it's a testing ground. But anyway, so like those make it a little bit easier to keep that schedule up. But that's kind of where I've landed.
Yeah. I got to get into a better schedule, a better rhythm, because it ties back to that whole mental health thing of I feel like I'm on that hamster wheel of doom that I just can't get off of.
Yeah. And that's yeah. I mean, everybody kind of has to find their own cadence on that. Us weekly guys, it can be a lot of drudgery.
And then when you have lots of stuff going on in your life, it complicates things so fast.
Any little one thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
It feels like there's a ton of stuff going on right now for me specifically, where it's just like everything's kind of happening at once. So this end of the year, I cannot wait for it to be over. It's like I cannot wait to get past the next couple of months. Yeah.
Why, do you have like some time off coming, or?
No, well, my parents are moving. They're retired. They're 80 years old. They're moving into a retirement community. So I've been helping them with that. And then I'm building a new house. And
yeah, I was going to ask about that.
That is stressful beyond all get out.
I can't imagine.
Yeah.
No, I've never done. I mean, just renovations on our house have been. Yeah. Well, do you want to talk about it? I'd love to hear it, because you're doing like a net zero thing, right?
Yeah. I'm doing a whole factory built home, which has been fascinating. I feel like I'm kind of eating my own dog food in a way. It's like I talk about all this stuff all the time, and I got so excited about it. I was like, you know what? I want to do this for myself. Convince my wife, God bless her, to go along with this. And so we're building this net zero home. That's this factory built home from a company called Unity Homes. I'm super excited about it. Like, we're going all out. Like, it's going to have a geothermal heating and cooling system. It's going to be passive house level quality. For performance. It's going to have, of course, tons of solar. I'm getting a massive solar system installed on it, trying to hit that net zero target. Really exciting, very expensive, and incredibly stressful, because we started this 2 years ago. This whole process 2 years ago, and it's just like on-site construction literally is going on right now. They're finally pouring the foundation this week. 2 years to get to this point.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
Is it a lot of like getting permits together and getting the right contractors for that type of building?
It was a little bit of that, but it was mostly Matt Ferrell has horrible timing. Hello pandemic, supply chain issues, companies saying, this would usually be 6 months, but it's now like 9 months to a year. A whole bunch of that kind of stuff. Where I'm building is very persnickety. The permit process where I'm building is very specific, would be the kind of way to put it. Has slowed things down. So it's like just the whole, like, just it's like a logistical nightmare of pulling it all together. And my builder told me, the local builder told me, she said, when this whole process is going to feel like nothing is happening, and then suddenly it's going to feel like everything is happening too fast.
Yeah.
And so, like, we're about to hit that point right now, because the foundation's getting poured. And then as soon as the house starts to go up, it's probably going to feel like, oh my God, slow this down. It's out of control. I'd much rather be in that part than this slow drudgery of the past 2 years. It's been very slow going, but it's happening at the same time as everything else, which is very chaotic.
Well, I'm curious about the geothermal part of it. How does that work? Like, are you actually like drilling down?
Yeah.
Like, how far do they drill down to the magma?
Yeah. For the performance level of my house, they only have to drill one well, and it's going to go down 350 feet. So they're drilling 350 feet, and it will have one loop that goes down and back up again, and that's it.
If my house gets hot enough down there for...
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Like, depending on the efficiency of the home, it might have had to be 2 wells, or if it was a larger house, it might need to be 2 or 3 wells of that depth, but it's like, I only need 1 well drilled, which is going to be happening, I think, the first week of December. They're going to be drilling it.
As always, this episode is supported by CuriosityStream. So Matt and I are talking about home energy solutions and stuff. Maybe you want to know more about electricity and how we got to where we are with electricity, how it became such a big part of our world. Well, for that, I might recommend the show Juice, How Electricity Explains the World, on CuriosityStream. Juice follows the history of electricity from our earliest experiments, just kind of trying to figure out what it is, to the point where we can now store it in a device that allows you to hear my voice right now. It's a fascinating story, and it really does kind of explain why the world is the way it is today. Of course, it's just one of thousands of documentary titles from award-winning filmmakers from all around the world on subjects as wide-ranging as astronomy, history, space travel, art, food, the list keeps going, as well as CuriosityStream original series from the likes of Nick Uhouse and other science communicators. It's just the best streaming platform for documentaries on the planet. Let's just put it that way. And even better is that when you sign up at CuriosityStream.com/JoeScottPod, you'll get access to Nebula. That's a streaming service I'm a part of, as well as many of your other favorite science YouTubers. It's pretty much just a curated service that streams all your favorite YouTubers ad-free. And you can also see things earlier than everybody else, so you wouldn't be hearing this ad if you were watching it on Nebula. This ad I'm doing right now. It'd be out. So yeah. It's also got original series that you can't find anywhere else, like my Mysteries of the Human Body series and my Forgotten Atrocities series. Plus, they just added Nebula classes, so there's always something new going on there. It's a great little service, and I'm proud to be a part of it. So yeah, again, if you want to get both streaming services, you can go to CuriosityStream.com/JoeScottPod. You'll get them both for 26% off, making a grand total of $14.79 for an entire year for 2 streaming services. I mean, literally with just that, you'll never run out of interesting stuff to watch. So one more time, go check it out. It's CuriosityStream.com/JoeScottPod. And thanks to CuriosityStream for supporting this episode. Now back to Matt.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Sorry, this is actually very interesting to me. I always assume that geothermal is one of these things that you kind of have to be in certain spots for, like Iceland or some volcanic area. But like,
nope.
Okay, so your understanding is that anywhere, if you drill down far enough...
Anywhere, because once you get down below the frost line of the Earth, like when you get down deep enough, the temperature evens out. So like at a certain depth, like here in Massachusetts where I live, it's 55 degrees. It's just always 55 degrees at a certain depth. It like really doesn't change. Okay. So you just have to drill deep enough so that you can recover that heat. To put it into the compressor to make it hotter, to heat up your home, or to be able to dump the heat from your house in the summertime and air condition it. So it's like you just have to drill deep enough to get to that temperature range. It can be done anywhere. You can also do horizontal loops. So instead of drilling down, you basically just go down like 6 feet or 8 feet, depending where you live, and then just do these coils horizontally, and then just backfill over it. So it's like there's different ways you can do it. Are
those filled with water, or is it like some kind of
it's not pure water, but it's some kind of like mix. Like I can't remember what's in it, but it's like it's got different things in it that it's beyond water to make it work and not like freeze up and seize, because you don't want that. So
but it's not like ammonia or something like that with like a really low or high boiling point or whatever.
No.
I'm still confused. Like how do they get enough energy out of it if it's only 55 degrees to...
Well, it's because of heat pumps. It's the beauty of heat pumps is that it's the way the compression system works is you compress something, it gets hotter.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. So you compress it and send it down.
Well, no, you're sending the liquid down. It turns to 55 degrees. It's getting...
People are screaming at me right now listening to this like, Joe, why didn't you figure this out?
And then it comes back up, comes into the house, into the system, where a compressor then takes that heat, compresses it, and makes it, the liquid. It basically it compresses it, which makes it hotter, takes that heat and uses that. So it's like you can take it from 55 degrees up to 80. And then if that makes sense.
So this is for heating the house.
For heating the house, but it's also going to give me hot water too.
Yeah. Okay. I think in my head, as somebody who is down south, heating is not as much of an issue. Although, I mean, like it's been pretty chilly the last few days here for Texas anyway. And so my wife and I traveled to Vermont. A few weeks ago, actually. We saw the leaves turn. We did that.
Little leaf peeping?
Yeah, we saw some leaf peeping. Got a little bit lost in a national park, but anyway. So yeah, for anybody who wants to go hiking in Vermont when all the leaves are falling, the leaves cover the trails, and you can't find the trails anymore, and we thought we were gonna die. Anyway, but no, well, like we went up there and we were staying at this, Airbnb or whatever, and it was nice and toasty. I mean, it was pretty cold outside, but the room was like really, we were like amazed at how comfortable the room was. and then we get here and it's in the 40s, which isn't even that cold. But like last night, I could not warm up. It was just so cold in this house. So
is it because your house isn't well insulated for temperatures like that?
People are gonna tell me I'm wrong about this. I think it's insulated well for heat. Like we got all the insulation in the attic and stuff to keep the heat from getting in from the roof and whatnot. But I want to blame it on the windows, but we got brand new windows not too long ago, and they're double triple paned and all that, so it shouldn't be that. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I just think that houses here are not built for cold.
Yeah, well, there's different standards they build them to.
Yeah,
like the house I'm building, the walls are going to be about a little over a foot thick, so
yeah,
they're big walls.
Yeah.
I'll be able to withstand the ice age or the heat wave. It's like I'll be able to withstand it all.
So what have been the biggest hurdles and headaches from building like this?
One of the biggest headaches,
pandemic aside, I guess.
Yeah, one of the biggest headaches is me. Nicest way to put it.
And your wife would agree, but
yes, no, it's I'm very picky on what I want in this house, but beyond that, as a YouTuber, I have access to things that a regular person would be like. I'm getting a geothermal system, and there's a company that I'm working with that is because I'm a YouTuber.
Oh, so they're kind of like, it's like sponsored a little bit? Or?
It's going to be a little bit sponsored. They're providing some of the equipment.
That's cool.
For it. And so it's like that complicated things because I couldn't use my general contractor's usual guy that does the stuff. It had to be somebody else. And so it's like, okay, this is somebody this person never worked with, and communication breakdowns, and then also the factory build with Unity to my local contractor. The communication's been kind of wonky there too. So it's like I've just made choices of like, I want to do X, Y, and Z. And it's like making sure everybody's talking to each other has been the biggest struggle in all of this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Because, I mean, I finally got solar on my roof.
And do you like it?
I like it, yeah. Well, where I was going to say was like, it took 9 months of permit wrangling to get it up, which nobody told me that was going to be a thing. The people who did it was a friend of mine's company, or she works for this company, an old friend of mine from college, or from high school, actually. Shoot, no, I've known her since like first grade. But anyway, she works for the solar company, and so when it came time to choose, I was like, I could go with them or I could go with like Tesla. And I was like, why don't I go with them? First of all, I'm helping out a friend. Second of all, I have access to somebody if something goes wrong, and it's not like some big faceless company kind of thing. And I thought it might go a little bit faster, and I'd heard about like delays on Tesla stuff. But anyway, for the most part, it went well. But there was sort of like we're gonna have some permits done, but they just kind of like blew past it, like it was just this thing that was gonna have to happen, and it sat there for 9 months waiting for the permits to come in. And I was just like, are you kidding me? And like the permit guy at the city would ask for some tiny little change or ask for a clarification and a blah, blah, blah. And I've got a battery backup. I think maybe they didn't really understand the battery backup part or something. And so, yeah, they would ask for some change and they would make the change. And it was another like 6 weeks for them to get around to look at it again. They would request another change and they'd make another change. Another 6 weeks would go by, and it was just like maddening. But no, they finally got it up. And I immediately became a kilowatt Nazi in the house. I may have talked about it in a video somewhere, but just the fact that like you have an app and you can see how much you're pulling from the solar, how much you're pulling from the grid, how much you're consuming at that time. I mean, just having that knowledge. I'd never had any idea how much my car was pulling.
It's terrifying when you see it.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. It's like, okay. And, like the dryer or whatever, it's actually kind of fun. You're like, I'm going to turn on the hot water kettle. And so, oh, look at that. But I guess last month, I think last month was the first month that that we produced more than we consumed.
Nice.
And it also like it got installed in June. So like June, July, and August, just 100-degree temperature. And this was an especially brutal summer. So the whole time I'm just like, I'm still going to be paying a lot of money for my electricity. Not a lot of money, but I was like really hoping that it would just go down to nothing. That's the point. But during the hottest month, it's clearly it's not going to do it. But October, yeah, we actually produced more, and I'm like, okay, cool, that's exciting.
That's funny. Yours got profitable for you in October, and that's when mine starts to become unprofitable. Like when I go into the wintertime,
Because of sun.
the sun gets so low in the sky. Like it's not like 7 hours of sun; it's 3 hours of sun of prime stuff happening. So it's kind of like the amount of production goes way down.
Well, it might be happening to me right now. It hasn't been. It's been a lot cloudier this month in November. So,
I mean, this is like the fact that it took you 9 months for the permitting and our differences in what we're seeing and how it works. It just goes to show, like, anybody that says you absolutely can go solar doesn't know what they're talking about. And if somebody says solar is a scam and you shouldn't do it, they don't know what they're talking about because it's so specific to the person and location and everything that you're trying to do. Like for me, my permitting wasn't a big deal. The problem for me was the electric company. Like my panels were installed. It was ready to turn on. All I had to do was flip the switch on the outside of the house, but I couldn't do it because the electric company had to come out, basically just kind of look at it and go, yep.
Yeah.
And I wasn't allowed to turn it on. And it took them like 6 weeks just to come out and say, yeah, so I had this solar panel system. I was just super eager to turn on and couldn't because just some schmo had to drive out in his truck, take 2 minutes to look at it and then drive off and say, you can do it. Frustrating.
The one hang up we did have in the installation was they had they had to turn off the electricity to the house for a minute, while they were setting it all up and everything, but they had to get the city guy to come out and do like what you just said. He had to come out and do this for them to switch it all over. Thankfully, we didn't have to wait 6 weeks, but whatever the situation was, and I'm forgetting some of the details now, but they couldn't turn the power back on for like a full day until the guy could come out and do that. And it was literally like they finished and were ready for him at like 4:55, and he had already checked out for the day. And so we had to stay, and this was in the middle of the summer, so we had to stay a night at a hotel and board the dogs and everything and throw away half of the food in the fridge when we got back in there. And that was, I remember that wasn't fun. But in hindsight, it's kind of like, all right, it happened. Here we are. We're fine. But
it almost sounds like we're saying, don't go solar, listen to these nightmares. But it's like,
well, temper expectations. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I mean, I'm super happy with it since it got up. We've had a few power outages in our neighborhood. We didn't know about it. That's kind of cool. The battery backup is awesome. Having that there, it's such a peace of mind.
It's a slippery slope, though. It's like it's kind of like getting an EV. It's like once you get solar and you start paying attention to like how much energy you're using, how much you're generating, and understanding where everything is going, you want to know even more. At least I did. So that's like where I started getting things installed into my electric panel, so I could tell exactly where in the house what was using that energy, not just my house was using a kilowatt. It's like it was like, okay, what in the house is using a kilowatt? It's like I wanted to know everything, so I could really start to like kill those things that don't need the power. It's like, oh my God, we're wasting so much power in this dehumidifier. Do we need that dehumidifier? Is it running all the time? So it was like stuff like that I started focusing in on. It's a slippery slope into insanity. But
honey, does your mom really need that oxygen tank?
Exactly.
I mean, there's oxygen in the air, so
it's 50 watts. I mean, come on, we can say 50 watts.
Dialysis machine. A little urea in the blood is no big deal. I haven't gotten that crazy about it. I've managed to not go.
Hopefully you
quite
don't.
There.
Hopefully it may just be my OCD. It may just be me.
It's an amplifier of the OCD.
Yeah, definitely.
But it is really interesting watching it go up and down. And like when I was out of town, I could tell when the sun was out and when it wasn't. I don't know. It's very neat. Maybe I've chilled out about it a little bit since then, but I used to just check it all the time.
Yeah.
It's just, But I really think like if everybody, solar or not, if everybody had access to like a smart home or a smart panel that could tell you how much energy you're pulling and stuff, like just having that real time data as opposed to getting a bill at the end of the month and oh yeah, we use more electricity this month. I wonder what happened.
Yeah.
It's helpful.
Well, it sounds like I'm making a bad pun, but with knowledge comes power. Sorry. See what I did
Bad
there?
puns. What do you know about that?
I don't know. Yeah, I'm a big fan of all of that stuff. Like in the new house, I'm getting a span electric panel, which I actually have in this house too. But it's like it gives you detailed views of everything that's going on in the house, and then of course you can tie it into other features of your house, so it can turn specific circuits on and off if something is happening. So if the power goes out,
okay.
the power goes out in your neighborhood, if you want to ensure that your battery lasts as long as possible, it can automatically turn off circuits that really aren't that important. So it can start to dial things back. And if the battery gets to 50%, it can turn off more circuits. And so it's like it can automatically take care of things to really eke out all that battery storage for you.
Yeah.
So it's like it's stuff like that I don't know. I guess I'm a super geek.
I've been wanting to, well, I just need to pony up the dough for it, I guess, because the battery backup we got was a Generac power cell.
Yep.
And it holds 9 modules. And 9. 9. We've got it half full right now, basically. No, it's 6 modules. There's 3 in there right now. I'm an idiot. But anyway, like fully stacked out, it's like 1.5 Tesla walls, or power walls. And it's only half full right now. So it gives me about 6 or 7, 8 or so hours of off-grid stuff if I need it.
Right.
I've been wanting to just pack it and put as much of it in there as possible, and then just kind of, I don't know if this is a way that there's a setting for this or anything. I guess I can figure it out, but have it use that every day down to maybe about 50%, and just like reduce the amount of pulling from the grid that I'm doing, because I really want it to be as net zero as possible, or
right.
But I feel like if you could stack that thing out, and in the evenings use about 6 hours of it, and then only use like grid power for a few hours out of the day before the sun comes back up again. That's what I'm going for.
There's got to be a setting in there, because there's a setting in like I have the power wall. There's settings for that exact kind of thing. Like
in
basically
the app?
maximize my money, like save me the most money. It's like there's like literally a setting to kind of do that for you, or there's different ways to configure it so that you can dial it in.
There has to be a way to do it on this, but it's not in the app. I can tell you that, because I looked for it. But I got to get those batteries in there before I can even do that anyway. So yeah. Home stuff.
Yes. I'm obsessed with this stuff. Like I don't know what it is. It's like I don't know if this is how you come about your topics on your channel, but like something catches your eye, you just start picking at it, you start leaning into it just because you're interested in it, and then you're like, I'm gonna make a video out of this.
Yeah,
is
pretty
that
much
literally what it is?
Yeah. But it's not so much. I'm really not a technical person. I don't like tinkering. I am not a tinkerer. That's why I have Apple everything. I don't want to have to like figure stuff out. I think the older I get, the less interested I am in figuring stuff out. I just want it to work so I can do what I need to do.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't, like, I do run across topics, but it's usually through consuming stuff or from researching one topic. I run across some little nugget and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And then I kind of chase that down later. But it's not so much like, oh, I'm tinkering with home stuff and I find this really interesting and I want to go down that rabbit hole. Those aren't rabbit holes I'm interested in. In fact, I think we had a conversation one time when I was trying to figure out how to sort of automate my AC system.
Yeah, your Ecobee that you had. Yeah.
Oh my God, that thing.
Yeah, you hate it.
I don't have it now. We had to, my AC just kind of like went out. This was about a year ago or so. So we finally got a dual zone AC unit put in here, because it's an upstairs downstairs. But yeah, before it was the thing that drove me the most crazy about the Ecobee. How much am I going to rant here? Because they have these little sensors that you can put in every room, so it knows exactly what the temperature is in every room. And I was like, surely you can set it up so that at certain times of the day, it would just focus on that room and make sure that that room is the temperature that you want it to be, because that's where you're working or whatever. It seems like because there's motion sensors in there, it would be able to know what room you're in, and just do that. Like, it seems like that would be something that it should be able to do, but it would always like average out the rooms, which kind of leaves you right back where you started. So what's the point of these sensors at all?
It works well if your system is somewhat balanced. If you have a somewhat good balanced system, it works fairly well.
Okay.
But I remember you like the upstairs downstairs temperature variation was like pretty drastic from what I remember you telling me.
And we only had a thermostat downstairs, so you had to like go downstairs and tweak it down there to get it to where it was comfortable upstairs, and it was a nightmare. What we've got now is a lot better, just because there's an up and downstairs, and I can control them independently. And it's a Daikin, in case you're curious.
Never heard of that.
I think it's called Daikin. Yeah, it came with the system, so.
Well, I'm in the same boat that you are. I am a tinkerer. I like doing that stuff. But the older I get, the less I want to do that. It's like, I just want stuff to work. It's like, I feel like an old man. It's like, I'm all Apple too. It's like, I want a smart home in my new house, but it's like, I am going Apple HomeKit. I don't want to like screw with things that are like, why is this not working? I don't want to troubleshoot that stuff anymore. I just want to plug it in, make it work, and walk away and never deal with it again. It's like,
yeah,
I'm in that camp now.
I'm in grandpa mode now, where it's like, when the computer doesn't do what I want, it's just like, would somebody come fix this for me? Like, there's actually a part of me, it's like, would it be worth it to just kind of hire somebody as part of like the channel team that's just like my tinkerer? It's just like my guy to come in and fix this technical BS that I just don't have the time or competence to deal with,
I love that you're not a tinkerer and you're a YouTuber, which means you have to be a tinkerer, because all the equipment that we use, all the setups that we use.
So perfect example. I switched over to a Blackmagic Studio 4K camera. And it's a neat little camera. It's pretty great. And I have it going through an A10 Mini Pro over here. But for some reason, and I can't figure it out, no internet thread that I've been able to find has said anything about this. But when we record it and we go into edit, there's like a 1 pixel line on one side, on the left side of the video, that's like reflecting what's going on the other side. So like, if I'm moving my hand over here and it goes out of the frame, you can see it moving on this other side in that one little sliver.
What?
I cannot figure out what's causing it. I can't figure out if it's the camera, if it's the ATEM, if it's the computer, if it's Ecamm Live. I've experimented with all these different things. I can't figure it out. So all we know to do is, before we edit, we go in and we make it 101% of the scale in Premiere.
Make it go away.
We adjust the scale to 101% to make that 1 pixel line go away. Yeah. So it's all these Band-Aids, you know, and it's maddening to me, because I don't have a full day to sit here and figure out how to get rid of that one little pixel line, and I go online and I search and I ask questions, and I know other creators, and I'm like, does anybody else use this? Has anybody else seen this? Nobody knows what I'm talking about. And I'm just like, I don't know. I give up. So
I get the old man attitude of not wanting to deal with that stuff.
Yeah,
I really do. I'm one of those people at this point.
It happens.
Yes. It's called getting older.
I guess. I don't know. I feel like I almost did a rant on TMI about this, but like, I feel like once upon a time, and this might even been like pre my day, but like, if you bought a refrigerator from Sears or something went wrong with it, you could call up a technician guy and he would come out and fix it, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That doesn't exist anymore.
No.
Like, for anything. Like, this stuff, like Blackmagic, it's all this Blackmagic stuff that I have here. There's nobody you can just call and say, like, can you fix this? I've got this problem. I'm running a big YouTube channel off of it, and I need this to work, and it's doing this weird thing. It's all like internet threads and like find the solution yourself. Everything is find the solution yourself, and I call it micro frustrations.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like life. I feel like modern life is just filled with micro frustrations of just little things that just don't quite work right, and there's no solution for it, and there's nobody to help you, and you're on your own.
Yeah.
Is it just me?
No, it's not just you.
Okay.
I mean, my previous life, I was a user experience designer, and it was like, there's never in a user experience design for software, there's never one thing. There's not like one thing in your software that just really ticks users off. It's like 100 little things that will tick your users off. It's a death by 1,000 cuts.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you're describing a death by 1,000 cuts. It's like there's
Yeah.
all these like little things that just get under your skin and make you want to like lose your mind a little bit. And those just build up over time. And in my studio, I'm the same thing. It's like I got so many things in my studio that make me so angry, but it's like I don't have the time to fix it. So I just work around it.
What I wind up doing, this has almost become a yearly tradition at this point, where like at the end of the year, especially if I'm able to get ahead on videos a little bit, which I try to do at the end of the year because of the holidays and everything, you know, you're kind of pulled away from things. You have to be. And it's good to take some time. But anyway, yeah, at the end of every year, pretty much, I like redo everything. It's not, let's go through and fix it. It's just get a new damn computer, just get a new camera, just get all the stuff, sell the old crap, and just try again.
You wipe the slate clean and just go fresh?
Kind of, yeah.
Oh, I like that. I might have to start doing that.
Well, it also means I've got to actually clean all this crap up. I try to take a couple of weeks and just like clean up the room, rearrange, kind of get a new setup going over here. It's not really something anybody really notices because I don't like redo the background, although I plan on doing that soon. But I think that's what it is. I just kind of like deal with it, and then it's just like, I just like throw the papers in the air and just like start over, you know. Hope that the next one gets it right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if I can get somebody to come in and like help me walk me through it and stuff, but yeah.
Yeah.
There's actually this thing that I shot that I had to shave my beard for. I got to meet and work with a lot of really smart technical people and like with video stuff. So, I mean, this just happened the other day. So I'm thinking when I do this whole thing, I might just see if one of them knows a thing or two about setting up a studio and just have them come in here and like light it and set it up and everything so that it's as easy as it is now. Cause I have it all set up. So I just press a button and all the lights come on and that kind of thing. Right now, I've just got the window, but it took a long time for me to like find the efficiencies to where it's like just press a button and start talking, and then when it saves it to a Dropbox folder, and my editor takes it and it goes from there, you know.
Yep.
And so as long as I can keep doing that, but have it look better and work better, that would be good.
It's finding those optimizations that just make your day. It's like the death by 1,000 cuts. It also goes the other way. Finding those little optimizations that take those little rough edges off, like that one button that you push and everything comes on. I've got that here too. It's like I hit one button, my entire set turns on, cameras come on. It's just like it, and then I just push a button and record. It sounds like a minor thing, but even though you're only saving 5 minutes of your day, it's like it's a glorious 5 minutes that I save every time it happens.
For me, it's about like some days you just don't feel like pressing that button.
Yeah.
You know? And like any tiny hurdle, any tiny obstruction is enough to make you go, I need some more coffee, and just go do something else. So the fewer obstructions that are in the way as possible, the more you can just press a button and start talking.
Mm-hmm.
The more likely you are to do it. It's kind of an excuse killer, you know. For me anyway, it's more of a psychological thing. It's just like clear those obstructions out and just make it as easy as possible to get started.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's like they say the hardest part of working out is putting your shoes on. You know, like you just got to make that first step and then just let the rest take over. But
Don't talk about working out. It's like, it's one of those, the pandemic, I don't know about you, but like working from home combined with the pandemic, I'm a string bean myself. And so it's like, I don't work out, but it's like during the pandemic, it got worse because it's like, I wasn't even going out into the world because everything was shut down. And so I started exercising and I felt better about myself.
Oh, okay.
I'm exercising every day. I fell off that wagon like 6 months ago. And it's just like, I should start that back up again.
Yeah.
It's like, I'll do that tomorrow. I'll start that tomorrow. It's been 6 months.
It's so much easier to not work out than to work out.
I know. I got too much stuff to do. I look at this to-do list. I can't do that.
Yeah. Well, it was the opposite for me. The only thing that has worked to keep me regularly going into the gym is to work out with a trainer. It's expensive. I'm sore all the time. They kick my ass, but I guess it's that accountability thing. I don't know. And it's the fact that you've paid for it. So you're just wasting your money if you don't go do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's Mondays and Wednesday mornings. So I'm still a little sweaty from this morning, but it's the only thing that's worked for me. And it's I don't even want to think about how much I have to spend to do it. But like over the pandemic, the whole reason I got my little Apple Watch was I was like at that whole Apple Fitness thing on the Apple TV. Yep. And I did that as much as possible. But if I don't have that regular like plan around this kind of thing, then it won't happen.
It's almost like we keep dancing around this like getting things done kind of topic, like mental health. But it's like for me, it's like I got in this routine of like every other day at 8 o'clock in the morning, I would do exercise. And then it's like, as I've been growing my team, some of my teams around the world, it's like the only time I can meet with some of these people is at 8 o'clock in the morning. And suddenly it was like, oh, great. Now the time I was exercising has to be taken up by this meeting. Guess I don't need to exercise anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the whole mental health aspect of this that I still struggle with, staying on top of things, to-do lists, optimizing my workflow and trying not to lose my mind. It's tough. It's really tough.
It's funny. I think you're right. We are kind of dancing around that quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of those unspoken things about doing this that a lot of people don't know about going into. Just like, because you're always on a deadline. Always.
Yeah.
Always on a deadline. And that takes its toll after a while.
Yeah, I don't want to name him because what I'm about to say, but it's like a good friend of mine. I've actually gotten really close to another YouTuber who is fairly new, and his channel's been growing like crazy. And he is like on a hamster wheel he's like running on a hamster wheel. Where I'm strolling on a hamster wheel, he's like running.
Yeah. And
he's constantly butting up against like burnout and just being like, what have I gotten myself into? And then it's kind of like talking him off a ledge and helping him to kind of center himself so that he can keep going at it again and trying to improve and make his process better.
Yeah.
It's just interesting how like, this is not a career I expected I would be doing. This is not a career I don't think many people would expect to be doing.
It's a career that didn't exist 10 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. And it's something that is incredibly emotionally draining.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm not sure who you're talking about, but whoever he is, it's a learning process. I mean, I certainly burn myself out. I mean, my God, I early on, I want to say I stopped maybe 3 or 4 times. I would do it for a few months and then just like couldn't handle it anymore and would stop. Having a team helps.
Yeah. Because
when you're just doing everything, it's just impossible. And I mean, I couldn't still do all this by myself anymore.
Oh, neither could I. It terrifies me to think of doing it by myself.
So what does your team look like?
Oh, my team is, I have a couple of people that do some research for me.
A leaf blew by outside. Sorry.
Well, I have a couple of people that do research for me. I have, I just recently hired kind of a lead writer because I was the lead writer. I had people doing writing for me, but then I was still finishing out the scripts. And it's like, at this point, it's like, I need the help. So I hired a lead writer. I have 2 video editors. So there's a team of like 7 of us that produce
Okay.
every video that comes out. So it's a team effort.
Mm-hmm. The writer thing, I identify with that quite a bit. I haven't hired a lead writer for the very reason that you're just talking about. Like I'm flirting with the idea. So I have 3 writers, and I do the outline. I kind of do some preliminary research, and I say like, this is the story here. Here's the narrative, how I want it to go. Mm-hmm. And then they take it, they do the heavy research, they kind of write it out, and then I take it and I do the Joe pass. And that includes writing the intro and the sponsor read and all that. And then I just kind of like put it in my voice. And I love my writers. They do a great job. Nobody's really quite nailed my voice though. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it's not even fair to ask them to, because I can't even verbalize what my voice is. It's just how I think, Yeah. So I usually take it, and depending on the script, sometimes I can blow right through it and do a final pass in just a couple hours, maybe a few hours. Some of them I kind of have to start over from the beginning and just like rework it. And a lot of times it's like, I had this idea for the outline and how it would work, and then they go back and they give me all the information. It's like, oh, that doesn't actually work. So let's so I just kind of have to start over and redo it and kind of take what they gave me and do some reconfiguring and whatnot. So I still haven't gotten that part down, and I need to make it faster. That's been like the biggest struggle that I've had throughout this whole time. Like, I've got writers, they do a great job, but maybe it's a perfectionist in me. And I get a little bit like, people watch the videos for me,
Yeah.
And so I have to give them as much of me as I can and make sure and get that right, because that's the sauce. And I'm really nervous about handing the sauce over to somebody else, or not getting enough butter in the. How far can I take this metaphor? But you know what I'm saying. It's not something I've been able to just hand over to anybody yet.
I mean, it's the same thing with me. It's the same thing. It's like I got to do a Matt pass. Like, there's bad puns I add, there's intros, stuff like, there's like things I do to my scripts to make it me, and I also inject some of my own opinions to make sure that it's all in there. But it's like, I don't think that's ever going to go away for me. But there are, like, for me, I had a group of writers, like 3 or 4 people I would bounce around between, and they all have slightly different voices, and none of them have been ever able to nail my voice. So some of them require more rework than others. And so it's like, by hiring a lead writer, I'm hoping I can train somebody to get 90% of my voice, so that they can take random scripts from other people and do that polish pass. And then I'm just coming in there and layering in a few bad puns, my own little opinions. It's like, I'm just trying to lessen how much stress it is, because I don't want to do complete rewrites, because I've had to do complete rewrites too. It's like, all the information's there, but it's all in a wrong order, and it doesn't make sense, and it doesn't hold together. So I have to kind of do a rewrite. That's what I'm trying to get away from, because it sucks up a lot of time. A lot of time.
Were you really, did you do a lot of writing before YouTube?
Not in my day job, but my undergrad degree is in communications. It was part of the English department, so I did a lot of writing, like technical writing and things like that. Yeah.
Okay. Because I mean, my background was, I've been writing movie screenplays since I was 15 years old, just for fun, and then got paid for a little bit there. But and I worked as a copywriter for 15 years at in an ad agency and stuff. So like, writing is kind of second nature to me. It's kind of what I do. It's my strength. I would put it that way. I think that's my strength. So it's really hard for me to completely hand that over to somebody else. And every once in a while I'll just bang one out myself, because it's just like, I have this thread in my mind. It might be a little bit more opinion than research and fact and stuff, but it's like, here's my hot take on it or whatever, and I just kind of like sometimes I just got to get it out. And then I'm like, okay, this is okay. Yeah, let's just do this, and I'll just throw it up there. So I don't know. Maybe that's why I'm less comfortable handing it off to somebody like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not a creative writing background. My brother is the creative writer. He's actually an author. But for me, I'm very comfortable writing, but it's just one of those, it's still kind of, it's draining and takes a lot of work. like when if I sit down to edit a video, I can do that like like without batting an eye. And after it's all done, I don't feel drained. But if I spend a few hours doing writing, it's like, it's not that it's hard. When I'm done, I'm just kind of like, whew, I am spent. Like
Oh, really?
mentally,
Okay.
I'm just spent. Yeah. It's like, I just end up in a place where it's just like, I just need to check out because my brain feels a little fried.
So, kind of getting back into habits and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm all about the flow state. The problem is I don't hit a flow state till like 12:30 at night.
You're a night owl.
I am a night owl, but I think that's if I could find like that's what I need. I need to find a hack for getting into the flow state. And I know that there are ways to do that. One of the things that I'll do I mean, this is just brute force trying to make myself get there is I'll set a timer. I actually live and breathe by timers these days. Like, I'll have a task list for the day and I'll give myself like 30 minutes for this, an hour for that. And sometimes it's like, just write on this script for an hour, you know, you don't have to finish it. You don't have to, there's no specific goal of getting it done. Just work on it for an hour, you know, just to make sure I get something done on it. But, I'll do, I guess they call it the Pomodoro technique, which is technically 20 minutes and then 5 minutes of break. I think that's actual Pomodoro, but I do like 10 and 2. So I'll set a timer for 10 minutes because you can do anything for 10 minutes, you know?
Yeah.
That's a small amount of time. Whenever your brain gets a little ADD and you start thinking about something else, I'll even sometimes like keep a notepad and it's like, okay, you know, search for this dumb Cheers clip that you remember from a kid that for some reason now you just have to watch, you know, and then like get back into it.
Right.
But 10 minutes and then take a 2-minute break and then 10 minutes and then take a 2-minute break. And I just do that until I find that thing that my brain is just like on fire. And it's like, oh my God, I got it. Yeah. And then you don't want to step away. You don't want to take a break. And I'm just going for hours after that. And for some reason, most of the time when I really get into that state, it's like really late at night. And I wind up staying up till like 3 or 4 in the morning, just like banging it all out. Man. This episode is also brought to you by Cankerboy. So this might be a little personal, maybe a little uncomfortable to talk about, but some people, you might be one of them, get canker sores. Not to be confused with cold sores or fever blisters, those things that cluster around your lips. That's something else. That's herpes simplex. Canker sores are on the inside of your mouth. They're round, they're red, and they make eating an orange feel like you stabbed yourself in the head with a lightsaber. They're super painful, and they can swell up to the point that you can't even talk sometimes. Most of you probably don't get them regularly, but for those who do, I think you know what I'm talking about. So this is something I've suffered with my whole life. It's a family thing, but along the way, I did stumble across a solution that actually helps, and that's called Cankerboy. It's a vitamin supplement that you take once a day, and it helps keep down your body's overproduction of an inflammatory cytokine that's the root cause of these recurring canker sores. It's been on the market for about 5 years now. There's a ton of positive testimonials on Amazon. Everybody's different, so your results may vary, but most people do experience a reduction in the number and severity of their ulcers within 2 to 6 weeks. So if you're one of the poor souls who deal with recurring canker sores, it can't hurt to give it a try. Just go to cankerboy.com, that's cankerboy.com. There you'll find a link to buy it on Amazon, but we also have it as a subscription, and if you sign up using the code CONVERSATIONS, you'll get 60% off your first 2 months supply. There's also plenty more information there if you still have questions. So once again, it's cankerboy.com. Go check it out and live life pain-free. Now back to the show. But I love that feeling. I love that, like, when the creative juices are just flying and like literally my hands can't keep up with my brain. You know, that's the stuff. I just wish I could get to that a lot easier and I could get out of it. You know,
I'm the opposite. I'm a morning person. So it's like, my clearest thinking is in the first half of the day. So it's like, I will never even try to write a script or anything like that in the afternoon because that's when my brain is already starting to go to sleep and kind of check out. So It's like the worst time to do it. My brother has done technique like what you're talking about, where he'll like every morning, I'm going to write 30 minutes, you know, I'm going to do this like in a very specific sequence to make sure he's getting into that state and being productive. And one of the things that drives me, I can't believe he did this. He has one of his published novels he wrote on his phone, on the train, on his commute, on a phone. Like,
not all at once.
No, it was like every morning, you know, he's on a train.
Yeah.
He lives in New York City, so he's on a commute for like half an hour on the train. He'd sit down with his phone and he'd be on the commute pecking out like with his thumbs just like however many paragraphs he could get,
Mm-hmm.
and then he'd go to work, he'd come home on the commute home, he'd do the same thing on the way back home, and over like 6 months, he wrote a novel.
That is the greatest ad for
That's
commuter
insane.
trains I've ever heard in my life. Send that to Jason Slaughter at Not Just Bikes. I think that would really sell. That's awesome though.
Yeah,
And
I couldn't do that. I could not.
Sometimes I miss when I was, right out of college and I had really shitty, retail jobs and stuff like that. And I'm just standing around all day long because I would just constantly come up with ideas or mentally going through some screenplay that I had in mind and stuff. And then I would get home and it was just like, I had to get all this out, and I would just like go to town and be up till late at night. But it is kind of one of those things that's like, don't what do they say? Don't turn your passion into a job because then it's like work.
Yeah.
So I do sometimes feel that way about YouTube because suddenly writing is like what I have to do. And it's like, you have to do it. And, and I do miss just kind of like following creative threads and not having like a deadline you're always trying to meet or whatever. But
are you doing that more? Because I know you're getting back into that screenplay writing because you do those productions every year now, right?
like the short films or the intro sketches and stuff.
Yeah, stuff like that. You're doing that more, right?
I'm trying to. Yeah, I mean that's kind of what this was about.
The shaving.
So yeah, well, I'll tell you what it was. Okay, so this buddy of mine. Well, actually, he was the last guest on the podcast. His name's Damien, but he and I have known each other for a long time. He's a filmmaker, producer type, and we had kind of lost touch over the pandemic. And then we got back together, and he lost his parents recently, so I was like, let's get some coffee, let's catch up. I want to be there for you and stuff. So anyway, we got together and we start talking and catching up and everything, and we were both just kind of talking about like, I just want to shoot something really cool. Because I mean, not to say that the YouTube isn't cool, but it's kind of the thing now, and I want to kind of step outside of that and do something a little bit fancier and more professional or whatever. And he was like, yeah, me too. I was want to get So because he does a lot of like commercial and what's the word I'm looking for? Just sort of like social work for like companies and nonprofits and stuff like that. But anyway, that's kind of how it all got started. And I was like, well, there's a few ideas I've been sitting on for a while. And this one particular one, it's kind of like a music video, or it's a short film set to music anyway. And it all takes place in a restaurant, just a couple sitting at a table. There's no dialogue or anything, so no sound to worry about. It's just like told through their looks and motions. It's kind of hard to verbalize, but it will make sense when people see it. But but anyway, a long time ago, I had like storyboarded it and did a little like animatic where it's like set to the song, and I had a few different ideas, and I threw it at him, and I was like, oh, there's this thing, and he was like, let's do that. Yeah, let's do that. And I'm like, okay. And that was like 3 months ago. That idea has been in my head for 10 years.
Oh, that's awesome.
And yeah, so like 3 months ago we talked about it and we shot it on Monday.
See, to me, come right back to the mental health thing. It's like, that feels like something you need to do more. It's like you need to be doing more of that. Yeah. Not under a schedule, just like whenever you can catch that imagination of coming up with an idea, just do it.
And honestly, I don't even know what we're going to do with it. It might be a festival thing. I'm sure I'll share it somewhere on YouTube eventually, but I don't have rights to the song right now. I mean, I'll get them, I'll spend a little money for it. But I'm just so thankful that the YouTube channel is at a place where I can spend some money on something like that. And I did spend some money on it. And actually the experience of shooting it, and so like it was just Monday when we shot it. Today's Wednesday, so yesterday I was kind of like post game in my head, kind of like thinking it all through. And I mean, this was a professional thing. There was an art department, there was a camera department, makeup department. There was probably 20-25 people on this set.
Wow.
It was a whole thing, and it looks amazing. Like this is easily the best looking stuff that I've ever directed. Um, and a friend of mine, Lena, who is in Snowpiercer, like she's a Tony Award winning actress that I've somehow become friends with. Like she came in and did it with me, and so
Okay,
she's on screen.
I need to see this. I need to.
I need to edit this. So I mean, honestly, like it took all day yesterday just to get it on a hard drive. It's like 350 gigs of footage.
What did you film it on? Like, what was the?
With a camera?
Like, was it red? Was it like a red camera shooting?
It wasn't red. It was a FX9, but we had like cinema lenses and all that kind of stuff. But
okay.
No, anyway, no. So like, kind of again, post game yesterday, I was like, it's really cool because like all those people that were there got paid, and I was able to pay them. Thank you, YouTube, for allowing me to be able to do that. And I was like, that's just the coolest thing in the world, that like all these people could come out, got paid to do a day's work. I got to meet a lot of really great, talented people behind the camera and stuff. And, you know, we can do something later on again. I can have a little team for like productions like that. I would love to do that maybe once a quarter or something. Just do like some really big, like cool production like that. And just maybe it goes somewhere, maybe it doesn't. It doesn't really even matter. But it's that, like you said, that sort of spiritual mental health thing of like getting out something really cool and creative. It's a lot of work. It was really stressful, but yeah, it's almost more of a community thing. Like I'm just so thankful that I can do that.
Yeah.
And that you know, I was able to put some money in some people's pockets and get something really cool made out of it. I think a lot of the people around here, this is Dallas, there's a lot of really talented video and filmmaker people, but 99% of the work is like commercial and industrial stuff. They say do one for the meal, one for the real kind of thing. It's all meal here. It's all just like stuff you get paid for and you got to do it, but they're all really super talented. And I gave them a reel project. Right. And they're like, oh yeah, we can really sink our teeth into this and really do something fun. And they all just seemed to enjoy it. And it was, anyway, it was a good experience.
I hope you can do this more.
I do too. Yeah.
And I want to see what you created, but it's also like, it'd be great if you could do this several times a year. I will say, as doing what we do, I'm in a similar position where I feel privileged because I have access to people and companies and things I would never have access to just as a regular schmo. And so it's like, I do not take that for granted at all. And it's like, I'm trying to take advantage of that in a way that I can share with others.
I've noticed you're doing a lot more interviews on your videos now.
Yeah.
Which is great. And I need to be doing more of that. I need to be taking more advantage of that. But
yeah, it's like I get access to talk to these people, these companies. It's like, I should do something with this. It's like I should talk to these people and share what they know and what their knowledge with everybody else, because I'm learning from them. Might as well share it with everybody else.
No, I just saw the Fusion video. That was this week, wasn't it?
Yeah, I just released it. Yep.
You just released it. Yeah, you had like three or four different people from these companies that are working on it. I was like, damn, that's cool. Yeah. Get it right.
That video's been a long work in progress, because it's like I've been talking to people for months and months about stuff like this. So this was a topic that doesn't fit it's like a round peg square hole for my channel a little bit, but it's a topic I'm very passionate about and very interested in. So it's like I was going to make it no matter what.
Yeah. Well, I was curious, like you just mentioned you spent like months working on that. Like, is that typical for your videos? Like, okay. I'm about to ask you a question that people always ask me, and I hate it when they ask me, so I apologize ahead of time. But like what is the cadence, and like how long does it take from the shooting to getting it out, kind of thing? Because like I know that by the time my videos come out, I'm like 3 videos down. I'm already like working 3 videos ahead at least. So I barely even remember what's in it, you know? Yeah. And so I get all these comments and people are like, why did you say this? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know why I said that. That was the old me.
Yeah. For me, it's like when I finish recording like my part and then it goes into the hopper of my process, it's usually like 3 or 4 weeks later that it goes public. So it's like, we're working ahead. So it's definitely, sometimes
you're way more ahead than I am.
It doesn't always work that way. Sometimes it is down to the wire on some videos, but most of the time I'm trying to be 3 weeks or so ahead
That's good.
of what's actually launching.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing. It's like it comes out and it's almost like I have to almost rewatch it myself of like, wait, what did I say in this video?
Yeah.
I'm seeing comments and I'm like, wait, did I say that? Oh wait, I did say that. That's right.
Yeah. My favorite is when people correct you and like, you need to put this in there. It's like, tell me how I'm going to do that.
Yep.
The video's already out. What am I how am I going to fix that? Tell me this magic that you speak of where I can go in and change the video once it's on YouTube.
One of my favorites is, you forgot to talk about X.
Oh, you forgot this. Yeah.
And they'll name a company or they'll name a technology. and it's one of those, no, I didn't forget. I deliberately left it out because this is a 12-minute video or a 15-minute video. It's like, we can't put everything in there.
So we're getting into the comments now. Okay. So, but no, the forgot thing, I get that all the time. There's an implication of negligence or failure on your part that you didn't say the thing that they're interested in.
Yes.
You know, I really think that some people are they expect you to repeat their thoughts back to them verbatim.
Yes.
And if you don't, you have failed in some way.
Exactly.
Or they're upset about it, you know. You forgot thing, that always.
I don't mind the comment at all. It's just the delivery. It's like, like you said, it's not that I forgot. I made a choice to leave that out because it was off topic. It would have opened a rabbit hole that would have gone off on a tangent. I left it out deliberately. You could have just said, hey, did you consider X? You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to say you forgot. It's like, no, I didn't forget.
And sometimes I just didn't see it in my research. I didn't come across it, you know.
It does happen too.
And it's like, you don't have to say you forgot. You just say, there's also this.
Yes.
And for that, I'm like, absolutely, please share that. That's the conversation that I want to get started and everything, you know. That's fine. But it's just like, well, I'm thinking this and you didn't say it, so you failed. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry I ruined your day by not saying exactly what you're thinking. On that note, there was something I wanted to kind of like have a conversation with you about, because you and I do a similar kind of thing where we talk about sort of future technologies that are currently in the baby stage or in the prototype stage, right?
Yes, yes.
I don't debunk things. First of all, I don't assume I know enough to debunk it. I'm fine with just like sort of bringing this out and talking about it. And if other people want to debate the merits of it, cool. Let's start the conversation. That's what it's all about. Everything has to start somewhere. Let it develop, you know, let them work on it.
Yeah. Not everything is a scam. Not everything is
the word scam gets used way too much.
Yes, it's thrown around way too much. Not everything needs to be debunked. And I'm with you. It's like my videos are not meant to be the definitive source on a topic. It's meant to be a conversation starter.
Yeah.
Get in the comments and debate it out. Point out things that you think should have been talked about in the video of like, I think X, Y, or Z, and throw out your facts, throw out your data.
That's fun.
That's the whole point of my videos.
Yeah.
I've never debunked. I've never said this technology is the thing. I've never said it's not the thing. It's like, I just want to talk about it. It's very frustrating because it's for me, it's a very pessimistic way to live your life. And I'm a optimistic guy. I get excited by the ingenuity and the brilliance of these engineers and scientists and physicists that are doing things and solving problems that seemed unsolvable.
Yeah.
And it's so inspiring to me to watch them do this and see what they're doing. And they're at the baby stages, like it's in the research lab. It's like, how can you, from the sidelines, from your armchair quarterbacking of this topic, debunk it? It's like, no, you can't. It's like, just shut up. Just shut up. Yeah. Let this thing flourish. It may not go anywhere. That's totally fine. It
might not go anywhere, but they might find something else.
Yes.
That has a trickle-down effect or a offshoot or whatever. You never know where things might lead. And think about all the things that we rely on that like make our world work right now.
Yeah.
That if somebody in the earliest days was like, this'll never work, telephones, you know, because there were people that did that. There were people that said that automobiles would never work because horses are so much better for this reason and that reason or whatever. There was always been naysayers.
Or planes couldn't fly or land.
Or planes couldn't fly. Like a lot of the stuff that we talk about maybe the majority of the stuff that we talk about might not go anywhere, but some of it is going to change the world.
Yep.
I mean, I think that's something else that comes with age, being crabby about computer and technology, but also like understanding that everything started somewhere. I mean, I remember when cell phones were like these giant bricks that you only had like an hour of talk time and stuff. And of course there were people back then that thought that was ridiculous, but here we are now, you know?
Yeah.
You can't, you don't know where things are going to go. And anyway,
it's
preaching to the choir.
Yeah. But it's also on comments I get. There's a lot of comments along those same lines on some of these videos of it's never going to happen, or this is such a scam. It's BS, or just another thing that's never going to turn out to be. Like, we hear about these battery breakthroughs. It's like, enough with the battery breakthroughs. I'm still waiting for my flying car. It's like those kind of things. That mentality, once again, it's like, it's an anathema to me. It's like, I can't understand it because I look at the world in such a different way. It's like, it's surprising to me. It's like, I'm in awe of the engineering and the thinking behind this, whether it goes anywhere or not. It's like, and such brilliant people are working on this stuff. It's worth talking about and exploring and seeing where it goes. And I want to revisit these topics and seeing how it turns out. So it's like, I don't understand the whole mentality. It seems so pessimistic and so like everything's a scam. I just don't get it. Why would you want to live in a world like that where you look at everything so like the skepticism is like ratcheted up to 11?
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, there are things like Theranos that are absolutely turned out to be something like that. And so I think to a lot of people, that's the perfect example of where a lot of this stuff is and what they're trying to do. We're going to claim that it's this technology and get all this investor money and then go live in the Bahamas somewhere or something.
Yes.
Not to say that doesn't happen. And on one hand, I'm like, we do need some skeptics out there that can like point out, because, you know, you do have to look out for that kind of thing. But there are certain people who have like made their entire personas around that and profited themselves off of that mentality quite a bit.
Yeah. And criticize people like myself for being overly optimistic when you look at he who shall not be named. And all it is debunked. It's like what I get accused of is you're doing the exact thing.
Yeah.
Flipped. It's like Bizarro Land. It's like, you know, Bizarro Superman. It's kind of like it's just the flip side of the same thing. So it's like what you're criticizing, you're doing exactly what you're criticizing, which is the irony is hysterical to me. That's not being recognized.
Yeah.
But healthy skepticism is a good thing. I do. There is a balance there.
Absolutely. So
yes.
There's the part of me. It's like, you need that side.
Yes, you do.
You need it. Yes. I'm not saying it doesn't have any value, but but the word scam just gets thrown around way too much. Like, if somebody's making money on something, it's now just assumed it's a scam.
Yep.
So I think you know this, but I have a little vitamin supplement that I sell. I have a little side business, which I never talk about on my channel. I'm not like Alex Jones or something, but like, but it's a thing and it helps people and it helped me. And it's only a couple of ingredients. It's a very simple thing. And I had one time somebody say that it was a scam because you can buy those ingredients separately. And I'm like, okay, well, you can buy all the ingredients to make a burger. Does that make McDonald's a scam? You know, I mean,
exactly.
Just because somebody's making money at something, and I'm not making much money. Actually, I'm not hardly making any money on that anymore. But anyway,
well, to tie back to solar for a quick second. On my solar, whenever I've talked about my solar panels in my house, I always get comments of people saying like, solar installers are a scam. They're just out to make, get a buck. You can do it. You can do it yourself. And my response is always, I don't want to be climbing up on my roof dealing with electrical stuff, which I have no experience with.
Yeah.
Why would I not hire a professional who does this for a living and let them do it right? It's like, I have no problem with them making a profit. That's why I'm hiring them. It's like, it does, that mentality doesn't make sense to me either.
Yeah. I mean, any home contractor for that matter would be.
It's a scam.
Any landscaper. You can mow the lawn yourself. Scam.
Exactly.
It's a service.
Yes.
It's just a service. It's not a scam. You're actually getting something for it. Yeah, we're on the same page there. Actually, so on the fusion videos, I'm just kind of jumping ship here, but actually, I was wondering about this because I saw somebody make the argument that the biggest problem with not even fusion, but like nuclear fission, like traditional nuclear reactors, is that they cost so much to build that you could easily set up a solar and storage platform that would cost less money. Like the cost of solar and the battery storage, or all those other, pumped hydro and all that kind of thing. Like it's less than fusion, or I keep saying fusion, but like nuclear. And I find that really, I find that very interesting. That I think people don't understand how much cheaper renewables have gotten over the years.
It's dramatically cheaper.
Yeah. And I mean, especially I guess coal and fossil fuel defenders, they think the same thing. And it's like, actually it's pure economics. It's really not some like woke green energy thing anymore. It's literally just cheaper.
Like all the people I've spoken to at different energy companies, and utilities and things like that over the years, they all say the same thing of like, they always say, we're concerned about going green and blah, 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 blah. But it always comes back to it's cheap. And so it's like money, sadly, makes the world go round. Utilities are going to go this direction because it's going to save them money. It's like, it doesn't have to be a big green agenda. It's just the smart play.
Yeah.
There's a reason why we're not doing coal as much here in the United States, because solar, even natural gas, is like dramatically cheaper than coal. The reason coal is dying is because it's too expensive.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
And it's actually
to see
being
how, like,
subsidized to save jobs now, and it's like
exactly, yeah,
all the things that they're accusing the renewables of, which they did take subsidies, of course. It was a burgeoning field, but there's a lady, Debbie Dunning or something like that. I remember her name had 2 D's in it, but she's a very right-wing conservative Republican. I think she's even like a kind of a MAGA person at this point, but like she came out in favor of renewables and was like a big proponent of renewables, kind of against the people in her own community and in her own party and stuff. For that reason, she's like, no, it's just the economics of it. It's just cheaper. It's just better. and she was going around making that argument, and I was like, good for you. Because she probably didn't make a lot of friends doing that.
No.
Amongst her own group. But that was actually years ago when she was first doing that. And I think a lot of people are turning for that reason. It's just kind of becoming more obvious.
But you still get a lot of arguments that are coming from ideology, not common sense.
Yeah, there's still enough of that. Yeah. Anyway, I just found that really interesting that like the traditional argument against nuclear is about nuclear waste and all that kind of stuff, and it might just be an economic thing.
It's way more expensive to build a nuclear power plant than people think.
Yeah,
like you look at the LCOE of all these different systems, and like, holy cow, nuclear is very expensive.
Yeah. And
so when people are saying just go nuclear, what, you want to waste a lot of money? It's like we could build this cheaper and get the same result.
I'm not anti-nuclear.
Neither am I.
The people who make the argument that it needs to be part of the mix, I actually do agree with that. And I'm really excited about things like, small modular reactors and that kind of thing. I've done videos on that. I think that's really interesting. But I just find it interesting that like that the renewables have gotten so cheap that it's kind of making them irrelevant a little bit, or making them less relevant.
It's also funny that just like sports teams, how everybody has their sports team, people seem to have their like energy sports teams. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like I'll put out a video on on solar, and somebody will just write "go nuclear," just "go nuclear" in the comments. It's like, really?
like it's a sport. Go nuclear.
Yeah, it's like, what? I didn't know that was a thing. Okay.
Yeah, people get tribal about literally anything.
Everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Typical. Well, I'll tell you what, we've been going for a while now. I don't want to keep you too much longer, but is there anything else that you were like, I can't see this on my channel, but I'm going to sink Joe with it?
No, nothing popping into mind.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, dude, I'm super happy that your channel's done so well lately. It's it's always cool to see somebody that, because I mean, we first met like a long time ago, and you were,
I was itty bitty channel.
you're itty bitty channel.
Yeah.
And I remember you were like surprised that I
SpaceX.
knew who you were, and I'm like, yeah, I've seen your videos, you know.
It
And
shocked me when you knew who I was.
isn't it wild though when you get to a level where the people that, this sounds weird coming from me, but like maybe that you're looking up to, and now you're like sort of peers with them, and I'm still, I still do that a lot myself. Like I, you know, I'll meet a YouTuber that I've been following all this time, and they know who I am, and they're like talking to me, and I'm just like, oh my God, you know, this is so weird.
Well, I still look up to you. So just, you know.
You don't have to, but
Yeah.
I appreciate
But
that.
it's like when I saw you at that SpaceX event and you were like, Matt Farrell. And I was like, what is
I remember
happening
that.
right
No,
now?
you were kind of flipping out. You were like,
Yeah.
It's okay, settle down, it's okay. But there's a lot of small channels that I mean, you're not small anymore, but like small channels that are in the same space, and YouTube's going to show it to you because you're into that kind of thing. And there's some that it kind of breaks my heart that just never quite get the audience for some reason. But they make
really
great
good.
videos.
They're
Yeah.
really good. Yeah. Yeah. I see a bunch of those. I'm fans of some of those channels. So it's like, it's kind of heartbreaking when you see this person working so hard, making great content, and it just doesn't get attention.
I try to call them out and give them a little bit of attention if I can. And there have been some that just kind of gave up, and I get it. It's so frustrating when you just are putting your heart and soul into it and it just never quite gets any traction. I get it, but it's a shame because there's a lot of good people out there doing stuff. Or they just find that their heart's not in it. It's not for everybody, for sure.
Yeah.
But, anyway, but I'm glad you stuck with it.
Yeah. And I'm still doing it.
Any big plans for the next year on the channel or anything like that?
Not really. I might be starting another channel. I'm probably gonna be starting another channel.
So you got the podcast.
I've got 2 podcasts.
One with Ricky.
No, that one's actually, we put that on the shelf because the 2 of us were like so crazy busy that it was too much work. Yeah, I think you know that with
I've been through that.
you know how that goes.
Yeah.
But the other 2 shows I do with my brother, and it's like on a Sunday afternoon, the 2 of us just chat for a couple hours. And It's recorded as 2 different shows. But I want to talk about smart home stuff and consumer electronic stuff more, which I used to do on my main channel. Like when I first started it, I want to start that back up again. So it's like I need a place to, like your TMI channel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like I just need a place to put stuff that doesn't really belong undecided. So I'm probably going to be spinning something up at some point soon.
Okay, is the podcast the to be decided or TBD? Or?
Still TBD.
Still TBD. Okay.
It's a follow-up podcast to Undecided.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's kind of the same thing that I do with TMI these days.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah. Sean and I just talk about the comments on the video. That's basically what we did. We used that as a starting point for what we talk about.
I've done a few of those. I did do a video a long time ago where I was like reading negative comments just to have fun with it. All that did was encourage people to write more negative comments.
Yeah, you gotta be careful.
Hey, maybe he'll read my comment on the air. So, okay. That wasn't the point. But, well, I'll let you go, but I'm glad we got a chance to do this because I always like talking to you, and now we have it recorded.
That's right.
Content.
We have proof that we talked.
That's right. Well, good luck with your home, and I'd love to hear all the updates for it and everything. I'm sure. I'm curious when it will get to be overwhelmingly too much happening all at once for you.
Oh, you'll probably hear about it on Twitter and on. I'll probably make a YouTube short of me panicking. So it's like there'll be stuff about that out there.
Whatever Twitter winds up being by then.
Oh yeah.
Hey, let's not open that rabbit hole.
That's a can of worms we don't want to open right now.
Yummy worms.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, cool, man. I appreciate this, and anybody listening who is not following Matt's channel, go check it out because he's awesome.
Thank you very much, Joe.
We'll catch you next time. All right, that was a lot of fun. Always good to catch up with Matt. If you don't follow Matt's channel, well, your life is incomplete. What are you doing with yourself? Just search for Undecided with Matt Farrell on the old YouTubes and check him out. It's a good show. If you like my channel, I really do think you'll enjoy it. Now, before you go, since I'm apparently selling my wares here today, you always see me in these nerdy t-shirts on the show. Well, you might as well know that all those shirts are for sale at my store, answerswithjoe.com/store. There's branded shirts with my logo on them. There's also posters, mugs, stickers, a lot of different fun and nerdy designs that have nothing to do with my logo, but, you know, might make a good gift for someone, you know, since it's that time of year. Plus, it supports the channel. So, yeah, do go check it out. It's answerswithjoe.com/store. Have fun. This episode was produced by Kimmy Britt, edited by Bray Brown. I'm Joe Scott. You can find me at Answers with Joe pretty much everywhere on the socials. Of course, my YouTube channel is Answers with Joe. Anyway, thanks a lot for listening. Please do share this if you thought it was interesting, and a nice review on whatever podcast player you're using right now really does go a long way. But until next time, thanks. Have a good one. Now go out there and start some conversations of your own. Take care.